on, yeah? Stickers, 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 stickers. All right, everyone's good. Hey, Madison.
Hey.
Are you all going on my tour? Or?
No, I was.
Darn it. All right. So now, folks, I want you to get your attention on these two bowl-like items right here. These are called sugar kettles. We grew sugarcane here. Okay. What they would do is they cook sugarcane or sugarcane juice over high heat. Allow it to cool. All the impurities and molasses will float to the top. They skim off the top, keep the molasses, throw away the impurities, and they actually make different products. Molasses, syrup, rum, and sugar cones. At the end of the tour, I'm going to show you a sugar cone and its mold. Okay? All right, let's go on up to the porch. I'm going to tell you about the mansion. All right, now, folks, so my tour is about the evolution of the mansion itself because it was built in 3 different sections, 3 different years. Now, I'm talking a lot about the sugar barons that owned it. Now, if you want to know more information about that time period, including slavery, our museum has all that information. It has an excellent slave exhibit in there that tells the whole timeline of African slavery, from when they were captured in Africa all the way until they were freed here and beyond. It also has an excellent pipe exhibit. Now, I was never interested in pipes, y'all, okay? But when I saw that exhibit, I'll tell you what, I was very impressed, okay? So go check those things out. Only thing you gotta worry about are those creepy wax figures in there. That's it, okay? I actually saw one of them move one time. All right, now, folks. So, the first building that was on this property was that orange color building right there. That was built in 1774, 2 years before the Declaration of Independence, by 2 gentlemen, Alexander Lentille, who was a Frenchman, and Maurice Conway, who was an Irishman. They built it as a trading post where they dealt with anything either killed or grown, like animal pelts and tobacco and all that kind of stuff that was grown here originally. Now, they are the ones that actually bartered the 300,000 acres that belonged to the Houmas Indians. That's what everything is named after. They did it with $150 worth of supplies. Now, I know that's what you're thinking. I know it. You're saying, oh, they got gypped again, right? Not necessarily. You see, by the time Lentille and Conway sailed up that river, there were less than 100 of them left due to European disease and wars with other tribes and whatnot. You see, the English and the French, they were getting after it, okay? They were in conflict with each other, and more settlers were moving onto the land. They just wanted to get away. So they went ahead and migrated south to what is called Houma, Louisiana, okay? Now, that $150 worth of supplies that they borrowed the land for consisted of copper pots and pans, ammo rifles, white shirts, mirrors, salt and sugar, and it was sufficient enough for them to carry on their backs when they decided to migrate south, okay? So they made their way, the 2 men built the trading post. This is that building right here in this drawing, okay? Now, the second part of the mansion was at the edge of the carriageway right there, all the way over here to this first shutter. It was built in 1805 by another 2 gentlemen, William Donaldson and John Rand Scott, as a 2-bedroom central hall cottage that was not yet attached to the trading post. So these are 2 buildings, okay? That's this building right there back in the day, and it's this building now, okay? And this is the area where it separated both buildings, okay? Now, the rest of the mansion that was built in front of and over the Central Hall Cottage, you see it in this drawing, in front of and over, was built between 1829 and 1830 by a Revolutionary War hero named General Wade Hampton. He actually built it for his wife, Mary Canty Hampton. Because I have a feeling she told him, I'm not living in a 2-bedroom cottage. Okay? You're going to find this woman very high maintenance. Now, the trading post is finally attached to the mansion with that enclosed carriageway you see right there and the room above it. That was built in the late 1800s by the Miles family. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit about them in my tour. All right? Now, folks, I'm going to tell you about these trees, so if you come with me, I'll walk backwards and one forward, okay? Now, these trees are called live oaks. They're native to the south. They grow between 24 and 36 inches a year. They get just above 100 feet high, and they can live longer than 2,000 years. This tree right here is the oldest one on the property at 700 years old. This tree right here, called the Burnside Oak, after one of our sugar barons, is between 600 and 700 years old. And these trees are almost 200 years old. This was the entryway to the mansion. The carriages will come driving up right here, drop off their guests right here to go into the mansion. Now on rainy or stormy days, the carriages will drive around the mansion, go into the carriageway right there, or they were let out in the back of the mansion, okay? All right, everybody, let's go inside the mansion where it's cooler. Oh my God!
Just do a little twirl. There you go.
No, what's on my ankles, right? Any of this on my ankles, good, because I'm already married. All right, now, folks. So I have a couple of rooms, or a few rules for you. Louisiana. The census is up here, and it names all the plantations along all the rivers and bayous down here. Okay. This is where we're located, right here in the bend of the river. That's where you're standing. Now, folks, this map was found in 1985. It was hidden on the 3rd level, underneath some floorboards, wrapped in cypress shavings. Okay, we believe it was hidden during the Civil War, because when else would it have been hidden? You know what I mean? So we believe that if a Union soldier or general would have got a hold of this map, well, he probably would have blacklisted every single plantation owner to be harassed later on, because many of these plantation owners left, and these plantations were named after the plantation. They were named after the owners of the plantation. If you look real closely right here, it says General Wade Hampton. Okay. All right, folks. Now the first room in the mansion, the formal dining room. You may surround the table. Gosh, you know what? I don't know. I don't know what this is. So we cannot take a picture? You can take pictures of this mansion. Just take them while I'm talking, because it holds up the tour. Okay. All right, now folks, so down here in the deep south, all we do is talk, eat, and drink. So dinners will last for hours in this room. Their air conditioning was lifting up those windows, getting that Mississippi breeze to blow in, okay? Now, as you can see, the table and the chairs are very low to the ground. That's because people were much shorter back then. Women were my height, on average, 4'11", okay? Men were lucky to reach about 5'5". Okay, that was due to malnourishment, folks, but clearly I am not malnourished, okay? This is my DNA. Anyway, now the table and the chairs were once owned by our former president, James K. Polk, okay? In the cabinet you see hanging on the wall, both contain what is known as the Houmas china. It was commissioned by Mary Hampton from France, enough for 600 place settings, and it's all engraved in 24 karat gold. Did I not tell you that one was high maintenance? Yes, I did. Okay? If you eat at one of our restaurants, you'll be eating on replicas of this china. Okay? The crystal chandelier is a Waterford from Ireland, and all the fireplaces of the mansion are black Italian marble. Okay? All right, now after dinner was finally done, the gentleman would actually escort the lovely ladies into the ladies' parlor for a bit of witty conversation and entertainment. You may go in. Pretty cool. No, it doesn't. You know, I have older people on my tour, and okay, if a single lady was looking for a husband, and there happened to be 5 of them that escort the ladies in here, she would do almost anything to try to get and keep that man's attention. okay? Play a musical instrument, engage him in interesting conversation, okay? Now, she would have played this piano because it dates back to 1901, but this is a baby grand Steinway from Hamburg, Germany. Does anybody know how to play? Well, I'll tell you what. The best Beethoven I ever heard was from a 6-year-old prodigy from France. 6 years old. He blew me away. Hey, but they also like to rock it out with Elton John, Queen, and Journey from time to time too, okay? But she would play that harp. It dates back to 1854, made by J. Sons. When that harp is missing, I know it's starring in a movie somewhere. Movies like to borrow it all the time, okay? Now, the old tapestries you see hanging on the wall both date back almost 200 years to 1828. It involved cotton pulling, needlework, and beadwork. Took several hundred hours to make one, and they were both made by the Ursuline nuns out of New Orleans. Actually, it was a task given them to teach them patience. Okay? Now, folks, Average General Wade Hampton died in 1835. Well, the next in line to get the plantation would have been his son, Wade Hampton II, but he was too busy with the cotton plantations they owned in South Carolina and Mississippi. So eventually he gave up his interest in this one to his mother Mary and his two sisters, Caroline and Suzanne. Now this is Caroline painted here, along with her husband, John Smith Preston there. Suzanne married a man named John Lawrence Manning, and she ends up dying giving birth to their third child. So he remarries right away because he needed a mother for his small children. But after Mary, Caroline, and John met that new bride, or there was something about her where they felt they had to start dividing up the land, okay? Now, Mary got the third with the home on it, but they put John Lawrence Manning and his new bride across the river. Okay, and then these two got a third. After everything was said and done, Mary went ahead and gave up her third to Caroline and John, okay? Now, they met it for several years, longer than they thought, okay, because they got homesick, all right? So they sold it to John Burnside in 1858, went back to South Carolina where they lived out the rest of their lives. I talk more about John in the next room. I talk more about John in the whole tour. That man's just fascinating, okay? All right, now, folks, so after the men tired of being entertained in here, like they could be tired of us entertaining them, right? They would bid the ladies adieu and retire to their own parlor for a bit of smoking, drinking, and gambling, okay? But now, ladies, we were not allowed in the gentleman's parlor unless we got permission to be in there, okay? Now, if we were just to walk in that room with no permission at all, well, we just ruined our reputations and became scandalous women, okay? So don't show off the ankles and don't walk in that gentleman's parlor. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up these doors, and who's gonna be my first scandalous woman? All right, come on in. Okay, so lady in the black, first scandalous woman. Yes. You know, after Hurricane Francine, we lost air conditioning in this room and in that room, okay? And we lost electricity in one room upstairs, so sorry about that, folks. We'll just keep that open. All right, now, folks. Now, before I go into the story about John Burnside, I want you to take a look around at some of these sculptures, okay? They actually represent female Houmas chiefs, okay? It wasn't uncommon for females to become chiefs in that tribe. Now, look, I'm from Oklahoma, okay? We have 5 civilized tribes in Oklahoma, okay? I have never heard of a tribe that had female chiefs. So the Houmas must be very advanced. No offense, gentlemen. Okay. Now, this one was sculpted by a Portuguese sculptor right there, and there's a story behind that. You see, the current owner likes to go to auctions and antique stores and buy period things for his home, okay? Well, he went to one in Houston. It was just a hole-in-the-wall antique store. And it was him and his friend, and they were looking around, and his friend kind of elbowed the owner and said, "Look over there." So the owner's like, "Oh my goodness." So he goes up to the antique dealer, and he asked him, "How much you want for that sculpture right there?" He goes, "I'll take $30,000 for it." Okay. Well, the owner's like, "Oh, that's a little bit too steep." He goes, "Come on, let's go." Okay. And the owner of the antique store says, "Wait. How much would you give me for it?" He goes, "I'll give you 20." Okay, so the antiques, okay, yeah, I'll take that, okay, because I had her for a while, all right. So they were doing the paperwork, and the antique dealer saw that the owner was kind of getting excited, okay. So after everything was said and done, the antique store owner said, hey, who is she? And how much would you have paid for her? He goes, I would have given you about $50,000 easily. And that happens to be a female Houmas chief from the Houmas tribe. And I happen to be the owner of Houmas House in Darrell, Louisiana. So there you go. Great story. All right. The clock right there that portrays a female Houmas chief was made in England. That's a female Houmas chief over here. And these figurines, some of them are female Houmas chief. A couple of them, these figurines right here represent 4 continents right here. The Houmas Indian sitting on a gator represents America, okay? And the marble one right there was actually done by a very famous artist in the 1800s named Dominique Canova. He did a lot of the Frisco ceilings in these plantation homes. The last plantation I worked at, San Francisco plantation that's south of here, he did 5 Frisco ceilings in that plantation, 2 of them with gold leafing. Okay, very beautiful, very beautiful. When you have a chance, look up San Francisco plantation. Boy, the paintings are just astronomical beautifully, okay? All right, now folks, so the story of John Burnside is kind of like a rags to riches kind of story, okay? You see, he was born in Ireland. He became an orphan, and he ended up in the area of Baltimore at the tender age of 12 or 13 years old with only $1.25 in his pocket. Making his way south, he ended up in Virginia, where he met a boy around his own age named Oliver Byrne. Oliver's father, Andrew, took a real big liking to John and kind of adopts him and gives him a job at his merchandise store as a stock boy. John works his way up to junior partner really fast, and Andrew noticed he had a head for business, okay? So he ended up sending John, his son Oliver, and another son named Andrew to New Orleans to open up a dry goods store there. After a while, the store became a great success, world-renowned, but it was this time where Andrew dies in Virginia. So Oliver and his brothers sell their shares to the store to John Burnside, go back to Virginia to handle their father's affairs. Now, although the store did very well, John saw potential in sugar, and he wanted to invest in it. So he sold that dry goods store for $2 million. Today's value is about $73 million. He came straight here, bought Houmas House for $1 million. But not only that, folks, in the course of his life, he owned 10 sugarcane plantations. Now, he dies in 1881, one of the most richest men in the world. Okay? Any questions so far? No, not yet. All right. Well, whereas this room was known for socializing, it was in this next room that was known for all the action. The billiards room. You may go in. Okay, so now folks, those gentlemen were such serious gamblers, they gamble away their whole plantations. Okay? They gamble over pool, lawn darts. Go ahead and pick these up. Get a feel for them. There you go. Anybody behind you? Here you go. Nice. Yep. Now they take those outside, so they're making the bulls on the lawn. Can I just say that lawn darts and drinking alcohol do not mix, okay? That's probably why they're illegal today. And one of my guests actually told me they used to drop these out of airplanes during World War I, okay? Now, John Burnside was one of those very serious gamblers, okay? He actually gambled away 2 of his plantations at the horse races, and he knew he had to get them back. So he took a trip to England to reestablish his English citizenship with papers. Because remember, folks, he was just a boy when he got here, okay? Then he took a trip to Ireland, and he bought himself a thoroughbred. Now, instead of shipping a horse to his stables in New Orleans, he had the horse shipped here to Houmas House and kept the horse in this room to hide him from everybody, okay? Then he would exercise him around in the wee hours of the morning. You know, he entered that horse at the horse races, not only won one of his plantations back, but 2 more, okay? The horse's name was Black Gold, okay? One woman goes, so there was horse manure in here? And I go, well, yeah. I mean, it's probably all cleaned up over the years, but you know. All right, folks, now the apothecary jars will not normally be in the gentleman's parlor, even though if you look at some of the labeling, you're like, okay, they used to party hard back then, okay? We got two big old jars of opium right here on this bottom shelf, okay? Now,
Alright.
opium was used in a drink with whiskey called laudanum. Laudanum was used for minor body aches to amputations and became very addicting, okay? On the bottom shelf right over here, you have hashish, arsenic, morphine. Right above the morphine, you have belladonna, okay? In small quantities, those things were not as, was not poisonous, but a little bit too much. You could find it 6 feet under, just up to 6 feet under, okay? Arsenic was used in ladies' makeup. They also ate arsenic wafers to keep their faces pale because that was a sign of wealth, okay? You would have been a very wealthy man. Well, very wealthy. Because she didn't have to work out in the sun, okay? Now, if you ate arsenic, you can work out, you too. You can work out in the sun as much as you want, but you're not going to get tan because of that arsenic, okay? But it was not uncommon for high society ladies to die at the age of 35, okay? But not only that, but when you have a 17-inch waist, where do you put a sandwich? Okay, those poor dear starved to death, all right? All right, now folks, so we're gonna go on to the next room to the right. We call it the blue oval room today, but I really... Okay, yeah, no. Now, as you saw outside, this building is a huge rectangular shaped building, okay? The walls go further out that way, and this wall wasn't even here. It was further out that way, okay? But there was an orthodontist from New Orleans named Dr. George Crozat. He bought it in the 1940s, and he decided to put plumbing and electricity in his home. Well, he found out real quick, the walls are solid both inside and out, okay? So he had exposed those pipes and wires in the four corners of the cottage, okay? Then he called on a friend of his, a very famous architect named Douglas Barrett, to come on over. He did some of the architecture in New Orleans. And so he gets here and he asks him, what can I do to hide these pipes and wires? Well, after a while, Douglas suggested he bring this part of the wall in and then oval it off, okay? On the other side of this wall, the doctor put himself a little kitchen, okay? On the other side of this wall, a couple of restrooms and an elevator that goes up to the second floor, I call the Tower of Terror, okay? Only fits 2 people or 1 skirt, okay? Now, if you can imagine this wall back where it was originally, it wouldn't be there. This is a freestanding staircase. It was put in the 1830s by Wade Hampton II. The stairs are cypress, the handrails are mahogany, and this handrail went all the way up with it, okay? Now, is everybody okay with climbing these stairs to the second level? Anybody need that elevator, in other words? It's safe. Nope. I was just kidding about the Tower of Terror. All right. Well, folks, you're going to feel a slight tilt in the middle of this staircase, but no worries. Still very stable, very secure after all this time. I'm going to allow y'all to go up first, see how you do it, and I'm coming up right behind you. Go ahead. Okay, where was this at? In Kentucky? Oh, to Maxwell. Oh, wow. Just like this?
No, it's a piece of water.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is so hard.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it now.
Right. So much fancier down there. Up here, this is where the families would live. Not many guests were allowed up here unless they were invited to stay, okay? Third level was used for storage. We still use it for storage, but we also use it as our creepy dressing room. Yay! You should see it up there. It looks like a tornado hit it. We've been doing haunted tours. Last weekend was our last weekend, and so there's costumes all over the place. But anyway, not any of mine. I'm a neat person. Okay. All right, I had to learn that in the Air Force, y'all. You had to get your shirts just right, you know, and all that. All right, now, folks. So, up here, there are raised thresholds. So, you need to be careful where you step, okay? Don't trip or anything like that. The first room on the left We call it the Betty Davis room. And I'll tell you why when we get in there, okay? So follow me. Watch your step now. And there's a shrine to it. I'm gonna take too many pictures of that cabinet, man. That cabinet's cursed. Matter of fact, that cabinet
Yeah,
right
so am
there,
I.
my couple of coworkers were trying to clean inside that cabinet that's right here in the hallway. And when they opened it up, they felt a swoosh, and they closed it right real quick. Okay. Ever since then, we've been having a lot of activity in this house. But one coworker had pneumonia on her left side. One coworker had pneumonia on her right side. It's called the mummy's curse. Okay? But by opening up that cabinet, it did something to them. So now, when they walk around the house, one of them, something always happens on their left side. Like they get slapped, poked, their skirts go like that, or something like that. The other one on the right. Okay? I'm glad I wasn't one of them. Okay? Okay, nothing ever messes with me. I see things, I hear things, but they don't mess with me. All right now, folks, because me and them won't fight. All right now, folks. So there was a movie filmed here in 1964 called Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. Originally starred Betty Davis and her nemesis Joan Crawford. Okay, Betty Davis did stay in this room while filming the movie here. Okay. Now, if you watch the movie today, you'll find Joan missing. Okay. She's missing. She was never found again. No kidding. Okay. No, there was a fight scene out front. When the director yelled, "Cut!" it didn't stop between those two ladies. Okay. So they're out there rolling over in that grass, throwing filming equipment at each other and all that kind of stuff. And it took 4 police officers to separate them. All right. Now Joan ends up walking off the set. She doesn't come back. So they had to get another actress to redo the scenes and whatnot. And they chose an actress that starred in Gone with the Wind, named Olivia de Havilland, to do so. And the rest is history. Okay? Anybody seen that movie? Yeah? It's supposed to be like a American Gothic horror movie. I mean, a head was chopped off, a hand was chopped off, you know. Ooh, okay. Other movies that you might be familiar with, Revenge of the Bridesmaids, Fletch 2 was filmed here. Even a portion of Green Book was filmed here. Anybody see that movie? Great movie, isn't it? It's a great movie. Y'all, you gotta see it. But in one scene, it shows this mansion lit up at nighttime, okay? From the Alley of Oaks. They say it's in South Carolina. Don't believe them. They lied. It's right here, okay? And where the black piano player played was in the Carriage House restaurant. All right. All right now, folks. So, it's been a lifelong dream of the current owner to own this mansion, and in 2003, his dream came true. Now, he found the mansion is somewhat disrepair and the garden's overgrown, so he cleaned everything up, decided to have a grand opening. He decided to entertain 1,800 guests with a surprise wedding here, okay? So they came for the grand opening, left the wedding, okay? Now, the bride's wedding dress was inspired by the Princess Diana's wedding dress with a 10-foot train. And she was driven up the Alley of Oaks in a horse-drawn carriage. Would you like to see pictures of who got married that day? All right. I'm going to open up these armoire doors and let me reintroduce you to the bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Sam Kelly. There you go. In other words, he married his adults. Now, as you see, he has a little bit of a sense of humor, and everybody got a kick out of it. Even Good Morning America showed up to film it all. Okay? So we gave the daughter a prenuptial contract where Grace got everything in the end, and they did have 5 beautiful legitimate babies. Now, Oliver was pretty much overwhelmed getting everything all at once. So what he did was he had other people manage his estates for him. One of them was his son-in-law, William Porter Miles. He actually managed Houmas House for him. Now, when Oliver died 7 years later, he doesn't give this mansion to his son-in-law because he really didn't like him much, okay? He gives it to his grandchildren. Now, the first thing they did, because they were already adults, was demolish the little sugar mill that was already here on the property, and they built an even bigger central mill. They put state-of-the-art equipment inside, and they were able to produce 10 million pounds of sugar yearly after that.
What year is that, I'm sorry?
Late 1800s, 1890s. Yeah. Love this thing, they're obsessed with it. This part swings out, the child gets in, you lock that child in place. Cool. Parchment paper, ink, and quill would go into this drawer right here. And when it wasn't used, again, I hope you get the child out before you close it up for a centerpiece table, okay? And y'all y'all can figure I don't like children that much, okay? I really don't. I have 4 grandkids. Oh no, I have 4 children and 2 grandkids. I guess I have to like them, but you know. Sometimes I still don't, especially my teenage grandson. I just want to, Anyway, all right. So now, folks, this is the Miles family right here. Lower left black and white picture is of William Portia Miles. Now, folks, not only did his father-in-law not like him, but he's the one that designed the Southern Cross that became the Confederate battle flag under General Beauregard. He was actually General Beauregard's aide during the Civil War. Okay. Next to him, the gentleman with the shotgun and the dog was his son, Dr. William Portia Miles Jr. Now, he was a very serious hunter, okay, and really good friends with our former president, Theodore Roosevelt, who stayed here in the mansion twice, once in 1903, again in 1908, okay. If you look straight up from his picture, you'll see his wife, Harriet Waters, and one of their infant sons. The children in the frames are some of their children, okay. All right, folks, let's go out to that second floor gallery. I want to show you the view from up here, and I want to tell you about the alley of oaks. It didn't always look like this. Go ahead, watch that. Second frame is what it looked like before 1927, folks. Yes, if you don't mind, sir, thank you so much. All right, do you have any questions in here? Is daytime office, or nighttime office, I'm sorry, nighttime office. Teddy Roosevelt. Any questions? No?
He lives here right now.
Uh-huh. He sleeps in there. That's all he does in there is sleep, okay? Because we're torn. We're torn, we don't mind kicking him out of his house at 9 a.m. every day.
Does he have another residence?
Annual. Annual, so we use it. Huh?
So Mardi Gras jazz.
I don't know if you're gonna jazz it. I tell you what, I had a Swiftie on my floor. And I go, you go see Taylor Swift? She goes, yeah. And I go, I avoided New Orleans this last weekend at all costs, okay? Oh yeah, it was crazy. Now, I know you got that on film, sir. You better edit that out, because I'll get in trouble.
You betcha.
All right. Any questions? Any questions? But does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else to add of what might have happened? Anything? Anyone? Well, I'll tell you about Butler, though. Okay. Down here, like I told you, he wasn't well liked, right? He had 3 nicknames down here. He was called Spoons Butler because everywhere he ate, he would steal the silver spoons. Okay? I don't know if he had a spoon fetish or a silver fetish, or maybe both. I don't know. Okay? The next two are not so nice, folks. He was called the Beast for his treatment of women, and he was called the Butcher for his treatment of slaves. He was a Union general, supposed to liberate the slaves, yet he hunted them down. Okay? Well, as you can imagine, people in the South didn't like the man too much. And they were very creative in how they showed their dislike. I'm going to get behind you, madam, okay? They actually painted his image on the bottom of their chamber pots. Okay. Here, I'll let you see first. There we go. There you go. Only in the South, y'all. Only in the South. Okay, there you go. Good old General Benjamin Butler. You don't get it too? All right, there we go. There we go. Oh, Lord. I just love the South. Only in the South can someone insult you and you're just like, we're just happy. You know what I mean?
Bless your heart.
Bless your little heart. Yeah, you got it, you know, the context of what it's been said in, right? Yes, indeed. If you say, oh, I have my broken leg, I say, oh, bless your heart. That's good. That's good. But if they say, well, I don't like that, I go, well, bless your little heart. You know what? In this mansion at the same time, okay? I don't even like my family enough to live with them like that, okay? Now, Dr. Krozak comes along, and he wants a library. So he gets rid of the hallway and turns it into one. Today, we use this room and all the rooms in the Trading Post as our fine dining restaurant, Latil's Landing, open Thursday through Saturday night. Usually, we put groups of people up here, more intimate dining downstairs, okay? Now, speaking of downstairs, that's the Trading Post, okay? The upper part of the Trading Post is called the French House. These were the two gentlemen's rooms that built the Trading Post, okay? So what I'm going to have y'all do is climb down the first flight of stairs. When you get to that first landing, we're going to go off to the room on the right. This was Maurice Conway's room, the Irishman. That was Alexander Latil's room, the Frenchman, where he lived with his wife, okay? So I'm going to open up the door and keep it open for y'all so you can climb down the stairs. Be careful, take your time. Excuse me, madam, I'm going to get right over here. All right, here we go.
typical.
That upstairs room is supposed to feel like this, you see. Nice, isn't it? Everybody come on in.
Hey, if
Everybody
you
come
guys come over this walking bridge, there's a good shot of Mississippi over here if you got radio on.
If y'all, you come on in, but, sir, it's air conditioned in here. Okay? If you don't mind shutting those doors, I appreciate you. Okay. So now, folks, who would cook in here? Nobody would cook in here? Oh, I would in a split second. I don't even like to cook. You guys, my husband now. All right, now, folks, so that painting right there is what Mr. Trey Black depicts what he thinks the trading post looked like in late 1800s. And if you look closely, you'll see the dog.